need to elaborate much because I'll just read it out, the kinds of harassment. You have the unwanted grabbing, pinching, kissing or pressing upon against someone in a workplace, slapping or touching someone on private body parts, etc. Following someone or blocking their way so that they cannot go away. These are all kinds of physical harassments. Though everyone knows this, since it's a sensitization program, we are again recollecting these kinds of harassments so that at appropriate time we may be aware, both the male folk and the female folk, they may be sensitized for prevention and also the redressal of the grievance. That is the object of distinguishing between these kinds. Then comes the visual harassment. Making lewd gestures. Here they don't have a physical harassment, they don't touch, or they don't, the verbal harassment, but even making lewd gestures, they will be making gestures, the harassment. Like licking lips suggestively or gyrating the hips. Continuous staring upon a woman. Exposing private body parts like flashing or mooning. Hanging a calendar with a nude picture. Wearing a t-shirt with sexually explicit pictures or graphics. Posting nude pictures. Graffiting of sexual nature in bathrooms or locker rooms. These are all comes under the visual harassment. In fact, cartoons are also coming under this. Interesting, there is a fact that there is a very case in the High Court of Judicature of Madras versus K. Muthukumaraswamy, which went up to the Honorable Supreme Court in 2014, 16 ACC 555, where a person who was employee passes on cartoons, drawing obscene cartoons to another employee in the Madras High Court who was working there. That was held to be a visual harassment coming under the definition of sexual harassment at workplace. It may be caused through cartoons and drawings that are considered offensive and insulting to the victim. Then we have, of course, the online or cyber harassment. It includes like sending obscene messages. These are all known to everybody. Images or threat online. Harassment via emails, media or workplace communication apps. Example is Me Too IT sector cases. In the Me Too movement, everyone knows. A group of women exposed senior managers sending inappropriate texts in workplace chats. It was exposed in the Me Too movement. National Commission of Women issued a notice to such technological firms for better digital safety policies. So these are all the kinds of harassments that a woman faces in a place. So broadly defined as quid pro quo and hostile environment. Then we have the kinds that it could be visual in form, verbal in form, and physical in form, and of course now with the development of technology, cyber in form. Then comes the cyber crimes against women. Then the next is how women are harassed through the cyber crime. With the rise of the digital, we all know with the rise of the digital technology, the sexual harassment has taken new avatars. It has also increased the harassment. Women face online harassment like stalking. Stalking is following a woman despite her refusal. Which was brought under the definition under section 3754D of the IPC, where after the Nirbhaya case, stalking was made an offence. Following a woman even when she refuses to respond to the man. So there is online stalking, then defamation, identity theft, cyber sexual exploitation and other kinds. The common types of cyber crimes against women in India, I will tabulate it just for reference. Tabulate the common types of cyber crimes. I'll just refer to them. Cyber stalking. This is repeated online harassment as I refer. Punishable under 354D IPC. Then comes cyber defamation, where they post false accusation to ruin reputation. This is section 500 of IPC. Morphed image abuse. They will morph the image of a girl or woman and it will be posted in the cyber space. That comes under editing photos and sexual exploitation, section punishable under section 67 of the Information Technology Act. Then cyber pornography. Then there will be revenge porn. Can take sharing private images without consent. That will be where it will be for a revenge of a woman, a man with exposes this. Then cyber bullying and trolling will be there. These are all kinds of cyber crimes, different, which I may not, because in the cyber age everyone knows this. To deal with this, we have the Information Technology Act 2000. Then of course we have the important provisions are section 66E, which gives 3 years jail sentence for violating a woman's privacy. Then for publishing or obscene materials, section 67 gives 5 years jail. So it's a very severe punishment. If for publishing sexually explicit content, there is up to 7 years of jail sentence. Disclosure of personal data without consent also carries punishment and fine. The Indian Penal Code, as I said, after the Verma Committee, there was an amendment, continuous amendment. Section 354D speaks about cyber stalking, 3 years jail sentence. Section 499 and 500 IPC, we can defamation, we can also have for cyber defamation. Then online threats and criminal intimidation, insulting a woman's modesty. Other things. The other relevant laws alone I will state, I am not going to do much depth. Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act, there is the Protection of POCSO Act, of course, Children from Sexual Harassment Offences Act. Some real-life cybercrime cases are also there, like the Air India bikini pilot case, wherein a false media account was opened in an Air India. I am repeatedly coming across Air India cases. A fake social media account misrepresented an Air India pilot. Action was taken and FIR was registered under section 66C and 67 of the IT Act. Then we have the Instagram boys locker room, where a group of male students shared obscene images of girls. Legal action was taken by the Delhi police under section 67 IT Act and 354 the IPC. Then we have the WhatsApp deepfake scandal. So why there is difficulty in tackling the cybercrime is there is low reporting of the cases, because women feel very unsafe, and of course very insulting for women to disclose this. It's very degrading for them. 80% of cybercrime victims do not report. Very sad picture is because they fear social stigma. Only 15% of cyber cases results in conviction. Of course, conviction rate is also very low in cyber crimes. And the women also they lack awareness. They do not know their digital rights. There is also digital anonymity. The harasser person who is committing this, he to a greater extent he is anonymous, or they can mask their reality. Criminals use VPNs and fake accounts. So many police officials are there. They use VPN and fake accounts, making them hard to track. So we have a very expert cybercrime wing where they are tracking that. Delayed legal action is also preventing women from giving complaints in cyber action. Only 30% of reported cyber crimes gets quickly resolved. Takes a very long time for being resolved. So for cyber crime, we have some suggestions. There could be a fast-track cyber crime courts. Establishment of fast-track cyber crime courts. There could be a quick disposal of cases. There could be stronger law enforcement, like more trained cyber police in every state. Of course, we are very pioneer and we have a very strong one in Tamil Nadu. Digital literacy campaign should be made for educating women about how these things are done and how we can have a complaint mechanism. And of course, awareness should be given to women and children about cyber safety, the reporting procedures, and also their digital rights. There could be a better social media regulation. Social media is full of such things where women are harassed, trolled, and put to suffering. There could be an artificial intelligence based moderation. We can moderate what contents could be posted in a cyberspace. Like Twitter has done. Twitter now flags abusive accounts under the IT Act. When a posting is made in a Twitter with abusive contents, it will flag it to curb cyber crime harassment. That is a policy of the Twitter India. So I think we can have 140. If it's lunch time, I think I'm taking 2. So after lunch, we will be dealing with. That is more interesting because this is an introductory part where we are dealing with these kinds of harassments. That is the most important part, where kinds of harassers are there. What kinds of harassers with psychological traits. How a woman should identify this person will become a harasser with his character, personality traits. And how an employer should know what the characteristics of a person who is working there, to know what kind of harassment this person will be committing, and what is the preventive measures which has to be taken to deal with such persons. That is why the personality traits of the harassers are more detailedly given in the topics, because I think that is the most important part, where women will come to know what is the kind of personality traits which in fact they are there in the society. And in fact, I would say, as soul searching, every person has a shades of such personality traits in them, and what shades of personality traits within us we have to curb. That's why I said it's a soul searching. Personality traits are not well defined classes. Everybody will has. எல்லார்கிட்டயுமே எல்லா விதமான குணங்களும் இருக்கு. என்னென்ன குணங்கள் நம்மகிட்ட இருக்கு, என்னென்ன குணங்கள்னால நம்மளை வந்து ஹராஸ் பண்றாங்க, இதை தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டோம்னா, as a woman you can prevent. முன்னால இருந்து எச்சரிக்கையா இருக்கலாம். This kind of harassment we are going to face from this kind of men. And men, even if we have such traits, I put it in first person, so it's not, because it's not going to be blaming game. What kind of traits which we are intrinsically having, which has to be, as I said, we have to bring, these are shadows within our psyche which should be brought out, and these traits should be addressed by us so that we may not become harassers. That is how the speaker said, asked us to take a pledge that harassment should not, I will not commit the harassments. From there begins that. Therefore, in the afternoon session, let's deal with the kind of traits which will put more light upon the real cause of these sexual harassments. What I have introduced is the magnitude of the problem, what women face, what is the statistics, what kinds of harassment. Now we will be going in a deeper level to address the real cause, because as all humans, we are all after all humans. To err is human and to forgive is godly, they say. To err is human. So where from we err, where from we can bridle that instincts of erring, eppadi this can be controlled. It will be a soul searching session, I believe. In an afternoon we will have that, and we will also be dealing with how this act came into force, how this act evolved at the international level and at also High Court. Therefore, I wish to meet the listeners after the session, our lunch session. And there is an interesting aspect, because at the end, in a note with which I will be concluding later on, there is of course an article by our Lordship's Anand Venkatesh Jain. Most of you would have read it in the Sunday newspaper in the previous week, which is exactly suggesting the solution for this. Because also referring to our Lordship's Manjulaji's judgment and other judgments of our High Court in the Hindu article, Lordship says how this could be done. And that is how some countries are doing it. Iceland is the most secure place for women in the world. And how Iceland has become such a secure land, and what is the effort they are taking at the earlier stages of life, at the child level itself. Children, when they, even before they are 5 years, how they are inculcating how a man should grow up respecting a woman, and how a woman should grow up stronger. This is called complementary. As women, we all teach women how to be sensitive, but we don't teach women how to be strong. We all teach women, but we don't teach men how to respect women. that is taken earlier. There is a BBC documentary, interesting documentary, which will be played now. If anyone is interested, that could be played. At the relevant portion of the documentary, I will be relaying it for 10 minutes in the concluding session. So anybody can also see that. My resource assistants will be displaying that also. After lunch, you can enjoy that. Then we will continue.
I request everyone to stay in your respective places.
Iceland has topped gender equality rankings for the last 15 years.
I think the lights
Perhaps one of the secrets to their success: start early. This is Laufsberg, a nursery school in the capital, Reykjavik. They do things a bit differently. The boys and the girls are separated for most of the day and are encouraged to do things usually associated with the opposite sex. It's called compensation work. The girls are taught to be unapologetic and fierce. Meanwhile, the boys are doing something very different. They're getting in touch with their caring side, giving each other compliments and massages. It's a teaching method called hjalli. The idea is that they develop their personalities without the pressures and constraints of conventional gender stereotypes. Mara was one of the first people to attend this school as a child. Her mother helped set it up. Her two daughters are the third generation with a connection to the hjalli method.
Sem foreldri þá hef ég það hlutverk að senda út í lífið tvo sterka sjálfstæða einstaklinga og mér finnst hjallastefnan sem einstaklingar þær gera styrktaræfingar alla daga til þess að þær verði sterkar konur.
What is the impact of this school on your daughters?
Já, ég sé það rosa skýrt á eldri dóttur minni hvað hún ótrúlega sjálfstæð. Þegar íslenska mjög karllægt tungumál og þegar eldri stelpan mín var lítil þá spurði ég hann einhvern tímann ætlar þú að vera súpermann? Og hún alveg, nei, ég vil vera súperkona.
About 8% of children in Iceland attend these schools, and demand is growing. They've opened 17 across the country.
We need to start at the very beginning. At 2 years old, they have formed their idea of what is needs to be that will limit them for the next years. Especially when they're having this concrete way of thinking. It is either or, boy or a girl, So we need to start early.
Why do you separate the boys and the girls?
Girls are deprived of so many possibilities. We are compensating by giving them this opportunity to show their strength, and in the single-sex settings, they are not competing with the boys at the same time. If everything is mixed, the girls will step back. It is the same with boys. We also need to give them compensation for what they have been deprived of based on gender, giving them the possibility of being more social, not only individually strong as they are, but helping them to train the kindness and closeness. I love what I'm doing. We all do. We believe that we are changing the world.
So, from a very early age, children in Iceland are taught to think differently about gender roles, not only at school, but in every aspect of life. This is a music space specifically for women, non-binary and trans people.
Delighted, loudness, was a word that we found together as a group. It's really appropriate because, I don't know, for me as a drum teacher, it's what I say all the time, like, more loudness, more loudness. The girls do not take space. They just don't. And the boys take all the space. Some of the boys, there are always exceptions, of course, but we are here to close the cultural gap because for some reasons we don't see a lot of girls or non-binary or trans kids doing this.
Do you feel empowered to be in a rock band?
Yes. I feel more confident than I did. You just can't be yourself here. You don't have to be like someone else. Because like rock isn't always for boys, and it has to be. Girls also have to take some space.
Oh my god!
The whole thing is based on the safer space idea. So if they can come in and they see that it is okay to take space, then they can go into the world and take space there.
Iceland is a small nation of about 400,000 people. In 2018, it became the first country to require employers to prove that they pay people equally. Essentially, paying men more than women for the same job is illegal.
It's based on a best-selling novel, and it's about
Nearly 90% of working-age women have jobs. The film industry is traditionally very male-dominated, but in Iceland, the number of female directors has gone up significantly, and it's the highest in Europe.
Did you ever feel that something was not achievable to you because you're not a man? I've never thought about myself in those terms. I love, directing. I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I think just the way I was raised, I've never even questioned it.
We are just filming some deco rats. Awesome animals. And they are usually the toughest actors.
Do you think that there's like a tradition that Icelandic women are particularly strong? It's a rough place to live, and I think with that comes a survival instinct, and there comes an inner strength and mentality that I think is really helpful in the film industry, because obviously what we do is quite challenging, and so yeah, I think it's in our blood. Yeah.
Okay. Scott? We'll continue the session after lunch. I request everyone to part for lunch and reassemble by 2:45.